Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast. This is the very first episode, and I'm so grateful for all of those of you tuning in right now. It is a new year, so that means new blessings, new things to bring in, new manifestations. So let's start the year off right, you guys, and get on a good path with who we are and the things that we allow in this world and the things that we allow to affect us and just anything in life that's not a part of our destiny, the way that God created us to be, the way that God saw fit for our lives. Let's just start off on a good track and get everything planned out. So, with that being said, today's topic is learning yourself, the breakdown. So, today I want to talk about learning your story about yourself, your triggers, your past experience, relationships, and toxic traits. I'm going to start by going ahead and give you guys an idea about who I am. I'm going to describe all these things that I just mentioned about myself. And I'm also going to talk about some of the things that I want to change about that. So, the first thing is learning your story about yourself. So, to start off, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Courtney Simone. I am an author. I write poetry. I have about 6 poetry books on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. One of them is a journal, actually. If you don't know me, I am very big on manifestation and giving gratitude to the universe, to God, whatever you see fit. Um, I really want to encourage young women to love themselves. So, with the things that I write about a lot of self love and not typically worrying about having a partner in your life, but being the best you to attract someone into your life that's meant for you. I'm 24 years old. I will be 25 this June 2020. Um, Other than being an author, I do have a basic job. I do work at Pizza Hut, and I'm not ashamed. A job is a job. I'm not where I want to be in life, but I do know that God has plans for me, and eventually I will be where I want to be when the time is correct. Um, a few triggers about me. I've learned over time that I get triggered very easily. I have anxiety, I suffer from anxiety and depression, and I've learned that a lot of my triggers are just overthinking about scenarios and things that may not even happen. I have a very hard time letting go and just allowing life to do its thing. I always feel like I need to be in control of everything so that I can know the outcome, or else I just get this anxiety where I feel like I just panic. Like, I just need to know what's going to happen because I just fear. I fear that anything that may negatively impact my life may happen. And this goes for relationships, friendships, jobs, um, even just my daily life. In 2016, I came down with a, I don't really want to call it a disease, but it does have disease in the name. It's called GERD. And what it is pretty much it's just acid reflux and heartburn. Like, I get that. Well, I used to get it every day. But that was due to me stressing and having uncontrollable anxiety. And everything just triggered me. But I think it mainly came from someone I was talking to at the time. He used to mentally abuse me a lot. And I feel like it negatively influenced me because all the times when he would do things to purposely hurt me, hurt my feelings, or threaten me, like threaten to leave me when I wouldn't do anything for him, I feel like that negatively affected me to the point that my anxiety stuck with me. And it took a long time. It is now 2020 and I'm just now pretty much getting over it. It took a long time for me to learn myself and learn my triggers so that I can cope with it and learn how to maneuver around it. So, with that being said, let's get into my past experiences and relationships. So, with relationships, I've never really had any good luck with that. I mean, I'm young, I'm only 24, so I have all the time in the world left to figure anything out relationship wise with my life. First and foremost, my goal is to chase my dreams. So, my past relationships just, they pretty much all ended with me being cheated on. And it was never my fault. I know that's kind of typical to say, but it wasn't my fault. I've probably been in about, I think, 3 real relationships, but I don't even think you can really call them real because they never lasted longer than 6 months. My first relationship, I was probably 18 or 19, and he had a girlfriend at the time, and I didn't know. So once I found out, I mentioned it to her, and she was just like, well, you can have him. Me being the young, dumb girl that I was, I didn't think about it too much. I just was like, you know what? Well, she said I can have him. This guy is into me, this and that. He's taking me on dates. So then we dated for about 3 months, I believe it was. It was only 3 months. And eventually, karma came back on me. He left me for that same girl. And eventually, him and her got married and had a few kids. They're still married, I believe. They're doing good. I don't know. I don't speak to him anymore. The last time I spoke to him was maybe 2017. And we were together in 2014. Yes, 2014, I believe it was when we first got together. So that was probably my first real relationship. Um, at least with the title. My second relationship, I honestly need time to think about it because I don't remember when actually, I do. So my real second relationship was in 2017. Yeah, later 2017, June actually. I was dating this guy. He lived in Chicago, and it was a long distance relationship. I have faith in it, but I guess things weren't meant to be. He cheated on me, of course, with one of his coworkers, and I don't really I don't really regret the breakup because I feel like it was a blessing in my life. And I'll explain that later on towards the end of the podcast. But basically, we talked about 4 months long. He came down in June for my birthday and he stayed down here for a week. And we pretty much hung out in LA. He went back and things were cool, but eventually he started to text me less. He would go he would go a whole day without responding to me and then blocking my number so none of my messages would say deliver, and then later the next day or later that night he would text me and be like my phone was dead or I didn't have any service or he just wanted to be alone. It was pretty much all excuses. um I eventually caught on at some point. I found the girl on Facebook. It was just like signs. It was just being given to me. And I tried to continue things with him because I don't know, he found his way back into my life, I guess you can say. I tried to take a break from him. He told me that the girl was his cousin. And when I found out that he was cheating on me, I was actually at work and my sister had texted me and was like, "Look at your Snapchat. Look at his story." And I'm like, "Well, there's nothing there." He blocked me, but my sister, he didn't block her. So what it was a picture and videos of another girl putting hearts and lock emojis. Basically, he was in another relationship. But me being so naive and gullible, he basically explained to me that that was his cousin, and I'm just like, well, I guess it seems rather odd, but okay. So he had plans to come back down November 10th, I believe it was, and he stayed for another week, and this time he stayed at my house. The first time we had a hotel room in LA, but this time he came over, to save some money or whatever. Cause it was very expensive trying to do all this, and we're both making minimum wage. But yeah, he stayed over for the week, and it was pretty good. We had a good time, but the next day after he left, he basically broke up with me. He was just like, he sent me a text message when I went into work, and he was just like basically saying, I love you, but I can't do this. So then I was like, is it because of her? Do you love her? Do you want to be with her? And he flat out told me yes. So that broke my little heart. But I got over it eventually. Eventually, I started talking to someone. It wasn't a relationship, but I did talk to someone after that. And that lasted for about 7 months. And then that went pretty smooth. He would cheat on, well, I wouldn't say cheat on me because, we weren't in a relationship, but it was to the point that I was pretty much family in his household. His dad would call me his um his daughter-in-law, and his sister would call me sister, and I met a bunch of the cousins, and I just met a lot of his family. I was pretty much welcomed into the family, and I would stay the night at his house pretty much all week long. um I stayed at his house very often, and he lived with his parents, so, well, his dad, so I was around his family a lot also. um but eventually that came to an end. I should have seen the signs in the beginning, because it was a lot of times when he would go out and he would post on his snap, like he would get so drunk that he'll post himself kissing other girls on his Snapchat. And the first time he apologized for it and told me that he would never do it again, and it was like, okay, first time, just don't do it again. And then the second time happened a few months later, where it was just a kiss on the cheek. It wasn't so much mouth to mouth. It was just a kiss on the cheek. And I'm just like, all right, well, who is this? Like, what is going on? Like, you need to get it together. And then eventually, he just started cheating on me. Well, messing around with other girls behind my back. And I eventually found out. And a week before my birthday, I got a text message at like 2 in the morning. He told me that night that he was going to be staying at his brother's house. And at 2 in the morning, I got a text message from some chick saying this is his ex. And I got a phone call, and she kept saying his name. So I'm just like, hello? Like, who is this? So the entire night, I'm just being ignored. And then the next day, he tells me it was his cousins playing with his phone. And of course, I took him back, and it was just like, I don't know. I guess I don't know if I'm weak or strong for taking and dealing with these things, but I just couldn't leave him alone. And then a few weeks, probably 2 weeks after my birthday, he dumps me. He's like, well, what do you want out of this? I'm just like, well, eventually I plan to get into a relationship. And he's just like, well, I want to live my life. That same night, I found out that he was talking to his ex-girlfriend. And so that was in 2018, around in July. And they're still together. They're married with a child now. So, that's that. But right now, like I was saying in the beginning, these were blessings in disguise that these guys didn't last in my life, because right now I am the happiest that I've ever been. I have someone in my life, and we've been talking for almost a year now. I believe either February or March it'll be a year. I don't know if we have plans on being anything more anytime soon. We had a mutual agreement that we were just gonna have fun with each other, because we both weren't at a place in our lives when we met to be in a relationship. Honestly, if it was up to me, I'm ready to be in a relationship with this person. I don't want to date anyone else. um I believe this person was sent from God to me, but I don't want to overhype it too much because I don't want to jinx it. Just know that I am very happy right now, and in this moment with this person, it helped me so much to pretty much learn myself. It helped me to a point that I've basically healed the condition, the GERD, the disease that I had. I pretty much healed it because this person has created so much happiness in my life and has taught me so much and have allowed me to experience myself, because sometimes you get so caught up in another person that you forget to take care of yourself. But this person has balanced being able to allow me to be myself, learn myself, take care of myself, but also being in my corner the entire time. He has gotten me to, motivated me. I'm not going to say gotten me to, because, I don't want to make it seem like just because of this person I'm doing something, but no, he has motivated me to get into the gym, to eat healthier, to be more active, to think more broadly, open my mind to things, be more go-getting. And it's just truly been a blessing. Although we have had our ups and downs, I can say that I've learned a lot, because I've learned a lot about my triggers. My triggers are basically wanting to control everything, wanting to always know what's going on, and I've learned that that's toxic, and I'm my own worst enemy. My own mind is my own worst enemy. But I've learned how to kind of control it now. So, with that being said, this podcast, episode 1, is basically discussing learning about yourself, breaking yourself down. I want you guys to take time to figure out your triggers. I want you to analyze your past experiences, your relationships, and just learn about yourself. The first step to any change is knowing what's toxic about yourself. You can't always blame people, you can't always blame everything around you. The key is to let it go and let it be known what it is that you need to work on. So, thank you guys for watching or listening to my very first podcast. The next episode, I'm going to be talking about journaling and connecting with your destiny. So, stay tuned for the next one, and I hope you guys take in this episode to really learn yourselves, because the next one, we're going to learn how to change these things and how to connect it and create yourself to prepare for accepting your destiny. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a thumbs up, comment. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now, please. And yeah, my social media, my Instagram is signed Simone. If you want to learn a little bit more about me off YouTube or off the podcast. So thank you guys.